Welcome back to Vital Signs. We are here with Jessica Preston talking about infertility, talking about sexual health. And before the break, we were talking about stress management. I'm going to remind you that this is not a substitute for medical advice. This is not medical advice, it's for educational purposes only. Feel free to reach out to Jessica or any experts, but definitely reach out to your healthcare practitioner if you want to integrate anything that you heard on this show. So, Jessica, we talked about hormonal health, we talked about sleep, we talked about stress management, which is really incredibly key. But another thing that you and I have talked about in the past is how important relationships are in the fertility process. Can you speak a little bit to that aspect?
Yes, I'd love to. So, when we look at relationships and we're trying to get pregnant and we're looking at two partners and there's a fertility struggle. So, male factor fertility, which would mean anything having to do with the male, is contributing to up to 40% of fertility issues at this point in time. That does not rule out that there is a female factor. There may also be a female factor at play. But there can be a lot of questions in relationship about, is this the right person? Should I be having babies with them? You start questioning things because it's a very scary place to be when you're not sure if you're going to have a baby. It's really important that we are in a good, solid relationship space when it comes to fertility because this is a team. This is a team effort. You both need to be involved, and especially when it comes to lifestyle changes or anything that might be if you're going for IVF, there are a lot of invasive procedures there, and we need the support of our partner. And so it's really important that we work in that space to connect with each other. There's a lot of shame in fertility, and we can't help that. Just looking at that within ourselves, holding our partner closely, and being in connection and communication with them is really, really important.
And so, as we were going through this, how does this relational dynamic and having these conversations with the partner and having this whole thing play out? How does that contribute to the stress level? And what are some of the like what is a good opener, a conversation opener, or a good way for people to begin this conversation if they're listening to this?
That's excellent. So there's something called imago dialogue. So stress is high no matter what in this space, as it is in relationships, no matter what. So what we look at in our program is we look at something called imago dialogue, and we look at there is also different types of speaking, neurolinguistic programming, and nonviolent communication, and these are all a lot of words that basically say how can I approach my partner and say, this is how I'm feeling, but it's mine and I own it. And it's not that you haven't done anything to me. You haven't caused the feeling. This is me and where I am. And so both partners need to be aware that each one is struggling and they are there to be each other's champion. So it's really important to have that kind of technique, and it can be in our program. We actually teach imago dialogue, and we give you scripts, and it can be fun and silly, and just to teach you the right words you can say. And I know, Jen, you and I have talked about this before, even in starting a conversation, just by having the right script of saying, are you open for a conversation? I am feeling sad about, and you say what the conversation is about, and giving your partner the opportunity to say yes or no. Because if they're not equipped to have the conversation at that moment, trust me, you do not want to have the conversation at that moment. If they say, I can't, I just walked in the door, it was a rough day at work, can you give me an hour? Then it would be a very nice kindness to say yes and a much better conversation in an hour.
I really love this methodology that you use, and I know it's something that's integral to the work that you do, because it can apply not even just in this circumstance. It applies in all relationships. It gives you that common courtesy, and it sets you for success, and it decreases the risk of conflict in that conversation. So, can you speak a little bit about what happens if you're feeling this way? You want to have the conversation, and your partner says no, but you need a release or you need something to do right now. Like, what is something that that person can do while they're waiting for their partner to detox or be ready or receptive to the conversation?
We find that when you end up having this conversation and you set a time and everybody is responsible for that time, it doesn't take long before you learn accountability. So we just need to be accountable to ourselves and to our partner. And so if we say, can we meet at 8 o'clock tonight? My goodness, please keep that 8 o'clock timeline. And if not, then you have to have a conversation about accountability. And that can look something like, are you open? I need to talk with you about my feeling of accountability and our timing when we're going to have a conversation. When we say it's going to be 8 o'clock, I'm good with waiting till 8 o'clock, but then when it doesn't happen, then I feel insecure or unsettled or anxious or sad. Pick the word that resonates and be vulnerable in your response. And is there a way that we could really stick to that a little bit better? And then it seems to work itself in that space. But it does take a little time because you have to learn the process and how to have the communication methods. And I have to tell you, my team is amazing at this communication, and I am learning at this communication. So they're quite skilled, quite skilled. But it takes time, and you're always learning. It is a practice.
And you know, I want to ask the next question because we talked about bringing this up to a healthcare practitioner, but when we're trying to conceive and we're feeling like it's on us, whether it's the male or the female in the relationship, that can also be a very challenging conversation to bring up. So, how do we find our voice to express this to our partner when maybe we're feeling like, is there something, is it me, like I am not performing, or I'm responsible for the challenges that we have when it comes to sexual health? Like, is there some segue or something that people can do so they can prepare, so they can vocalize what it is that they mean to say? Because it's a stressful conversation for a lot of people.
It's very stressful. So I think the one thing to remember is a lot of people turn around when, what they think about their own shame and project it on their partner. And so be aware that that's a possibility that can actually happen, and be the observer in that state, and just know that that might be the case so it can be a little less triggering for you. But to be very vulnerable and honest with your own self, this is our partner, and we can struggle with being open with the one person who's supposed to have our back the most. And we really need to try. We need to put forth this effort to the best of our ability. So I highly recommend just taking a few moments, sitting in that space of what is my ownership of how I feel in this space. For my infertility journey, it was me. It wasn't my partner. It was me. So I was the one not ovulating. His sperm count was perfectly fine. He had no issue. And so the guilt and shame all got to be held by me. So we need to be, so in that case, and for the women out there that are in that space where you're in control of your life and everything is perfect, but wait, what is this one thing that has come about? I can't conceive. And you feel that guilt and shame. We just need to be a little bit more in that space of surrender, know our partner is there for us, and have the vulnerability to try to open the conversation. I'm sad. I know this is my fault. And you will be so surprised how supportive your partner can be to you. So just give them a chance.
Thank you so much for that. And I know this is your guys' expertise. This is the expertise of your team, yourself. And if people are listening to this and are like, okay, this is something, I'm not having this conversation, I really liked what I heard today, how can they reach out to you to learn more or to find out more about what you offer that maybe is in conjunction with what they're doing in the traditional medical space, or maybe they haven't even begun that journey? How can they reach out to you, and what is that best method?
Thank you. So our website, which is denovofertility.com, it's Denovo fertility.com. If you go there, you can learn all about our programs. We do have intensive coaching programs with hand holding all the way to programs you can do on your own. And if you reach out to us, we have free calls and you can just sign up for a call with us. You're not going to get a call center. You're not going to get a receptionist. You will get one of us on our coaching team. And then you can ask any of your questions. We all work in the exact same area and arena. We are who you would be working with. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you just need to talk to someone, please just give us a call and reach out.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your expertise, and everything that you've brought today has been absolutely fantastic. I know this is a very deep topic and we could talk about so many more things, but I do appreciate your time today. And we talked about a lot of different actions that people can take. I want you to leave them with, what is the one thing that you would like to encourage anybody who's on the fertility journey or experiencing this? What is the one action you would like them to take today?
Well, if you're feeling stressed, definitely I would love for you to do the physiologic sigh. I think that's helpful to be able to recenter yourself. And then know you are not alone. This is 20% of us, it's 1 in 5. Know you're not alone and that there's a huge community out here that is ready to support you. So know that in your heart and reach out. Reach out anywhere. It doesn't need to be us. Talk to your provider, talk to a loved one, but know that you're not alone.
Thank you so much. And that is so incredibly important. In any health journey, you're not alone. It's not like we operate in a vacuum, even though it might feel that way. So thank you so much for your time, Jessica. It was such a pleasure. Reach out to Jessica. De Novo Fertility is doing amazing work in the world. Thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we do have to take a brief break, but we will be right back after these messages.